The World Wrestling Federation. For over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
What's our name?
Well, men on the
Are you ready?
Well,
Here we go. Men on a mission. Bam, bang, boom. Here we go.
Welcome to the New Generation podcast on the Backbone Wrestling Network. I'm Tim Slomka.
I'm JP.
Thanks again for joining us. As always, we're on the journey to relive the New Generation era to find the best and some of the worst of the wrestling time period often forgotten. Bret and Shawn Survivor Series 92 to Bret and Shawn Survivor Series 97. We look beyond the pay-per-views, examine the weekly TV, see what worked, what could have worked, and what failed. JP, we're on to our third Survivor Series. How's everything going?
Oh man, I can't wait till we're like 2 months from now. I can't wait for 95 just to start because I'm just ready for this. Like I'm telling you, I'm gonna be watching like every promotion too. Like once I'm done watching what I need to watch for the podcast, I'm gonna be watching like Smoky Mountain. I can't wait to get to 95. I don't know.
Doink's got you that excited about wrestling.
Right. Well, I mean, we have a show on this feed with the shit takes, and I know me loving 95 is probably one of the biggest. Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, we got Portuguese Man of War just showed up and all the good stuff.
Yeah, he's not even the cooler one. I know we got one coming that's going to be awesome. Hakushi.
I think he might be on the opener next Raw. So
right. So we got a couple. I was looking at like the rosters. I didn't want to spoil myself for the exact date, but we got a couple coming soon. So
yes,
it's gonna be some good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be interesting to see the influx of talent they bring in, and then where it's misused and some of the click stuff that starts happening. So we'll see. But excited to talk about this pay-per-view. Like I think we both talked about last time. It's been a while since we've both of us have watched this with especially the critical eye. So
right.
Ready to get onto it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so our Survivor Series 1994 from San Antonio, Texas, the Fremont Coliseum, November 23rd of 1994. I've actually been to this arena for an NXT back when they did Rumble 17. So it's the smaller arena than where the Spurs played. So it's a little bit smaller end. It's got like that old school kind of feel to it. Kind of bland, no suites. So you kind of see that there's, it's just seats everywhere, no suites, breaking it up.
Oh, wow.
And then kind of an overall, just kind of, seats there are no like triple decks, right? It's a double deck.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure this might be where also Tuesday in Texas was. I'm pretty sure this is where it was. So pretty historic building. I know they go back there a lot. Like I said, they did the NXT show when they were there.
Right.
2017. When I went last year, I didn't go to the NXT, so I'm not sure but I'm sure they probably ran there as well. So we missed a pre-show match with Bob Holly and Quang. So 5 stars there, we can just assume.
Yeah, that's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. So we got Vince and Gorilla on commentary. Vince is the lead with Gorilla on color, which is never his strong points because he's not really color much, like if and ever. So it's kind of unique setup there. I think some of that's obviously Lawler's in the second match. Todd has been on some of the shows, but he's there to hype the show and take the backstage stuff. So feels like they're just like, we'll just give Gorilla a try. I'm not sure when King fights again, so that they have to go back. They go to
how much do they hate Jim Ross too?
Yeah, but I feel like he's more of a lead guy. Gorilla at least has some color to him, right? I feel like. And Vince would be terrible. I mean, he's terrible play-by-play. That's some of my notes is hating Vince on this whole show. But I think Vince and color would be terrible.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, yeah,
he's not going to play-by-play. He's not going to play-by-play either.
Right.
So he's kind of stuck. But he's trying to tell the story. I get why he's out there. I just think they were kind of stuck with needing another kind of heel guy, and they bring in Michael PSA. What's his Doc Hendricks?
Yeah,
who might be worse, right? So they're obviously trying to find something because King's kind of their go-to by the time we're in end of 95. King's everywhere, all of 96, and then beyond. So, but interesting pairing here, to start off. So we usually don't pick the matches beforehand, but I said I need match number 2. So I will by default, then you get match number 1. So why don't you start us off?
All right. So the show, surprisingly, I didn't realize this was going to start the show. And that's the Teamsters versus the Bad Guys. So I kind of like your more high profile, um, like teams match, I guess you could say, in my eyes at least. I know there's the later one. I guess the promotion probably sees it as more high profile, but to me, like, these are your heavy hitters. And what I liked about like the Teamsters team is like Diesel was out first, so he's front and center. You can tell like it's the decisions have been made and everything with him. Like a lot of focus is on him. And then Shawn, of course, like runs out in front to get in front of him. So good, foreshadowing there, kind of with like Shawn wanting the spotlight that Diesel's getting, which was probably like even though they're playing on camera, it's probably backstage was kind of true also. Like Shawn was the guy that was always waiting for his shot, and then Diesel comes in, and like in this calendar year that he's been there, whatever, a little over, he's already achieved so much more at a faster rate than Shawn has. So you can see a little jealousy there. They get like a great pyro shot too with the both of those in the ring, so that was pretty cool. Um, Diesel has like his ponytail going now, like this Tom Cruise Last Samurai type ponytail. I don't know. It looked kind of weird on him. Um, but it was a nice pace to start, like with the you know with the heels kind of um, in control, like just controlling the match to start off with, and then like out of nowhere, Fatu is the one that comes in hot, which was I didn't expect him to be like the hot tag of anybody. Um, then that followed up by Razor, and like the face team starts to get control a little bit, which I liked. Um, you also see in this match that Jarrett's like great at playing the chicken shit heel. Like he's kind of unsung in this whole thing. In the promotion, really, he's like one of the guys. Like he's a great five tool player in this little era, I guess you could say. Um, Jarrett like hip tosses Kid over the top in a cool spot. And I always like Jarrett and Kid's interactions. Like I always feel like those two mesh really well. So like the dynamic between Jarrett and Kidd always works for me. So having them on opposing teams works. Fatu and Owen exchange with like Fatu's just showing some early signs of Rikishi with like starting to hit his dance moves and stuff like that during the match. So that was a cool little highlight. And then Diesel gets like the a blind tag and ends up pinning Fatu with a jackknife. So Fatu's gone. Then Diesel ends up destroying Kid with a jackknife. So he's on a little bit of a roll there. And
Yep.
then like deadlifts Barbarian with a jackknife. So like he's just on a roll. You can see he's the guy, like he's had 94, he's had, the Rumble. He had a great showing. He's been, starting to get featured. He has the SummerSlam match that was pretty good. Now here on Survivor Series, he's got a good little showing. So pretty good stuff with him. Bulldog comes in with like a spirited attack on Diesel. Like he's a big jacked up dude that can kind of match up with him. So that was kind of cool. Diesel and Razor end up going for a little while, and then comes the moment that is kind of be the catalyst for the next few months. While Diesel's like holding Razor up, Razor ducks as Shawn Sweet Chin Music's Diesel right in the face and pisses Diesel off. So Diesel starts getting enraged and starts like laying everyone out as he tries to go after Shawn. So this was definitely like the last straw. What I don't like is like the ref just counts out all the Teamsters. That was a kind of a bullshit finish. I guess you kind of had to do it. I just wish there had been
Mhm.
like maybe a couple more eliminations before that. I don't know, just kind of a shit finish. But I know like the main story of the match turned into the Shawn versus Diesel thing, and one cool thing they did do is like after the match, like you get the count out. At least they go backstage and see Shawn like running from Diesel, so he's kind of like
Yep.
running to his car to get away. So that was a good little touch. But I think before the sloppy finish, like how they did it, it was a pretty solid match and kind of highlighted these guys. It's like almost like youth movement in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think the match. Yeah, it's definitely the mid card. I don't, you could debate whether the mid card is stronger than the other match where you got
Hmm.
Jimmy Del Rey, but the two kind of like match each other. I think as far as like talent wise, but this is a pretty loaded roster if you think about. Besides Anvil, everyone is probably well, I guess 6, maybe never won a championship, but in the world title, you know, Owen's been there, Bulldog's been there, like all
Right.
these guys. Jarrett's going to do there many times in other organizations. Shawn, Diesel, like Razor, like you're talking about some big names, maybe not all at the time, but just throughout time. So you're doing some big players in this. The action's pretty good. I think Fatu is probably the boot thing is just a little too silly. Like
it is.
It doesn't make sense. Why they do it? Borders on racism, right? As far as like what they do. Barbarian doesn't have this issue somehow, like, but yet,
right,
or whatever Sione, whatever his name is, right? Like he doesn't have this issue. So like, why would these two guys, all of a sudden have issues? So that's kind of silly. Diesel looks strong when he's kind of taking everyone out. The only thing I think is kind of silly, like you kind of mentioned, was like the ref counting everyone out, and like Owen and Jarrett kind of like realized like, oh, let's go back. But versus like going back, like heels, I think would be like, forget my teammates, I'm just gonna go back. Like it's kind of silly they chase after Diesel. So I think
that was the weird part, right?
Right, and then like Razor's on the ground and like slowly gets up and then wins the match. Like he doesn't look strong. I think like a better thing would have been like Jarrett runs back, Razor. Maybe Razor's edges him to win, right? To like look a little strong, and I know you're doing something later with Jarrett, but like Owen or something, like surprise attacks him, right? Like, but it's just kind of silly. Like, why do they care? Like, what do they care about Diesel and Shawn, right? It's just kind of silly thing to get counted out for, especially because they act the right way. They kind of say, "Hey, we gotta go back, where we're gonna lose," and then they just don't do anything about it. So I thought that was a little disappointing. On that part, that front, pretty solid match. And then, sorry if you said it, but then Shawn is like, I don't care about the tag team titles, like as he's leaving.
Oh
right?
yeah,
he's kind of like, he's just kind of like, so they kind of they really pick up on that, right? Oh, he said the titles are vacant, or so. Like Vince is of course like leading you overall in the storyline, but kind of saying, hey, the titles are vacant right now because Shawn doesn't care about it. Again, a little bit too early to maybe drop that line, but
right, a little too on the nose.
Yeah, really, it's like, oh, like that's wrong. We just said they're vacant, or he just said I don't care about him. That means he's forfeited. Like, but either way, I thought a lot of fun in that match. So, we then go to our anything else sad? Kind of my commentary.
No,
we move on to the main events. It's weird. Second match of the card. You wouldn't think they would kind of go for the main event, but we get. And in my notes, I put them just as the Dinks and as the Queasies. So I apologize. I didn't name each of them every single time. Yeah. But I also didn't want to use the M word here. So it's kind of hard to explain what's happening in this match. I'm not going to do play-by-play for the sake of everyone in the world. I think that's something we don't normally do, but this is the match where you don't do it. Right. 16 minutes long. So this match is actually longer than the opener, which is just crazy. It goes on forever, including a maybe 7 or 8 minute after match segments. So man, this is weird. They also don't show the history of it. It's just like the match starts right after the last match. It's kind of like kind of blurred into it. It's something I actually have a critique of this next match. The Backlund and Bret. There's no critique. There's no like highlight package. The highlight packages we thought had been pretty good, and it's just like the match just goes. So like the crowd's kind of coming off this dud of the Doink match, and then kind of just goes right into Bret hitting hard versus like kind of getting pumped for the match. So we get no history in the match throughout. You kind of get the same thing happening. Doink and the Dinks do some move. Then Lawler tries to have the Queasies run over him and try to do the same move, but of course they fail. Some of it's kind of funny, but it's just very played out. Like once you see the first one, you're like, yep, this is 3 minutes before the next one happens. Vince, of course, thinks it's the greatest thing ever. The crowd is dead for it, though I think they laugh. Every time that something happens, they do get a laugh, but it takes like 3 minutes in between each of these quote unquote jokes. I thought Doink did a good job of getting the crowd like into it. He did a lot of clapping and a lot of like foot stomping, but the first 10 minutes is just Doink and Lawler in headlocks. And then, like I said, the Queasies falling over each other when they try to imitate the move that the Dinks did. I do like the one I do like is when Lawler tries to get on top of Queasy.
When they're playing chicken.
When they're playing chicken, and of course he gets on top of it and falls over. I thought that was creative, at least compared to some of the other ones where it's just like they just tripped over each other. So of course, then my next note says this is a 4-hour match. We get Doink pinned with a grab of the tights by Lawler, which then the match is in theory over. Even Gorilla Monsoon says, well, why is Lawler even out there? This match is stupid. Can't even win. Though. And Vince is like, let's not talk about that. And it's like,
Right.
Gorilla's like, wait a second, why is he out there? Like, it's so bad. They really didn't think out these rules beforehand. Anyways, each of the Queasies eliminates one of the Dinks, and in the end, Lawler wins. The 16 minutes long. Then we have a long post match where Lawler keeps raising his hand. So do the Queasies. Lawler looks at him and says, I did all the work. Finally, the Dinks come out from under the ring, chase Lawler to the back, and a pie in the face for Doink to win. I guess the feud, or maybe it continues. I'm afraid of it continuing, but it doesn't make Doink look strong. He looks weak, losing on like a weak crossbody.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make Lawler really look strong, and the fact that he, didn't really do a lot to win in the match. And then overall, it's just way, way too long of a segment. Like, again, I think the crowd pops for a couple of the little jokes. Then they probably have like 8 or 9 jokes, but it's not sustained. And there's a lot of dead time in between, which you're going to see in the exact next match. A lot of dead time in between action. So it's like, this is just poorly constructed of a match. This could have been good at like 3-4 minutes, but at 20 plus minutes of this, or even more, it's just way too long.
So that was my last note as well. This should have been 5 minutes, and it would have been fine. They could have done, the chicken spot. They could have done the running on the stomach, real quick, get through it. But if you were going to come to this finish anyways, you didn't need a long drawn out match because it wasn't building to some like crescendo where, Doink gets over on everybody. So this should have been like a quick 5-minute match. Lawler celebrates, Doink comes back out and does the pie face and all that, and everybody would have went home happy. But yeah, this was excruciating. I did not remember it being this bad, and I'm such a Lawler fan that I couldn't even like use bias to help this one out. It was just so bad. Like, and when like the minis were with each other, it was even worse. Like when Lawler or Doink wasn't involved in the match, it was even worse. So yeah, it just drug on.
All right, you want to go? And you have the Bull Nakano interview. Is your notes?
Yeah. So she had the interview, but was there supposed to be a women's tag match here, or was she just randomly getting interviewed?
I think just because of the title change. I think it's weird because on the last Raw they kind of brought up that the title change happened. I don't.
Okay.
Besides Todd making fun of her trying to speak her language, I think
right.
Japanese. Sorry if
yep.
now I sound like Todd Pettingill. right. But he's trying to get her to speak English and just offensive the entire time.
Yeah.
And she speaks back and again, sorry, apologize, but I think Japanese.
Japanese it is, yeah. Japanese,
yeah, but I think the whole point was like trying to build up that was a huge event, but it's weird. They don't have Blaze interrupt. You can't understand what she's saying unless you speak. It's just like it's kind of a pointless segment. Especially if this is your women's champion. So something's missing there that I don't know what, but it's definitely missing.
Gotcha. So yeah, so another thing. So this I'll say the placement of this match bothered the hell out of me to begin with. This is gonna be Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart. So when I saw that this was the third match, and I haven't seen this pay-per-view in years, probably 20 years. I haven't seen this, so I didn't realize this was going to be third. And I remember this match like decently. Like I was like, okay, I kind of remember it. So if you were going to have Doink and Lawler go 20 minutes and kind of put the crowd to sleep, knowing that you're going to have a submission match that's built around technical holds and more telling of a story and not as fast paced, like that, it was just terrible to put these matches back to back. Having Bret and the title go third just really pissed me off. Like knowing that you're just going to put Undertaker in the main event again when he works this slow plotting style. Like, it just, I hated it. So, the part.
Can I just defend right there? I could understand ending on Taker because of
Chuck Norris.
Well, I think more that Bret loses, right? The way you don't want to it's the old send the crowd home happy, which is very, very true at this time. And I still think ever. I mean, I still think you like watch what is it, WrestleMania 2000, and it's like Triple H wins. It's like, oh, cool, the heel wins, but it's like it's just such a bummer. Like I never watched that because it's just I think wrestling should just like a good movie, right? Crescendos to an ending that you want to leave happy. So I understand why I was here. I just I think the timing of it all was bad, and I think you could have done the Survivor Series matches, back to back with the Doink thing real quick in between, right?
Right.
And I
Yeah,
think that would have been better lineup.
Doink should have been the opener, and it should have been short.
It should have been
Just to get
pre-show. Give
right.
me Quang Bob Holly.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just still bothered me. I think it bothered me because it's happened to Brett so many times.
Yeah, I agree.
It just happened at SummerSlam too. Like where
And
he's
King
in
of the
this
Ring.
huge and King of the Ring. Exactly. So it's like Royal, like, well, no, he won the Royal Rumble, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just bothered me that it happened a lot. So, um, Backlund comes out to no music, which was awesome, and Owen by his side. So, like, that's a great touch to start with. I'm already loving it. Brett comes out to a good ovation. Like, you can kind of tell he knows he's losing the title here. He's
Yep.
not as, like, I don't know. You can kind of see Brett's a bitter guy as it is, but you can just see it.
Especially when he's losing.
Right. So like Brett's on the offense early, and like send him Backlund outside, so he's a little more aggressive than usual. But there's like a lot of feeling out early on. So if you're not like really locked into this match, like invested or know what you're looking
Yep.
for, you're kind of gonna lose sight a little bit early on. But what they do a good job of is they start building a lot of tension around the chicken wing. So like, Backlund going for the chicken wing, is Brett going to be able to get out of it? Kind of maneuvering for it, working holds to get to it was kind of cool. So one weird thing is that during that, Vince kept comparing Bob Backlund to George Foreman,
Yep.
uh, just because of the age, I guess. But Foreman's like this hard hitting boxer. Backlund's this technical wrestler. It just didn't. I didn't get it, but
I think it
uh,
shows Vince is on top of pop culture. If you
I
didn't
get.
know
I mean, yeah, that's very
that.
true. Yeah. So there is a great spot where like Brett finally like locks in a figure four, and that was
Yep.
cool to see other submissions like instead of just their sharpshooter and chicken wing. That was cool to see that. And what I think like what I liked about this match is because I actually liked this match more than I remembered, so it was a little surprise. Like they used a slow build to kind of to get the crowd hot, like to build up like the right way
Yep.
you're supposed to do it. So it was slow and it was plotting, but I think that was by design to kind of get the submission aspect over. So they started building that up. Um, Owen goes to interfere, and then Bulldog comes in to stop him. But then that distracts the ref, and Owen hits like this sweet Bulldog on Brett to get him out of the sharpshooter, which is a pretty good spot. And then Owen comes over and takes out Bulldog, throws him into the steps, which is going to play a huge part here. So Owen, throws him in, and Bulldog's knocked. Bulldog's pretty much dead. It's not just unconscious; he's actually dead.
It's
Um, Backlund
interesting too, the match with a dead guy outside.
So yeah, I wish I would have taken a timestamp of when he did this because Bulldog's going to end up on this ground over just this steps, thrown in for like 15 minutes, legit. Um, so when Brett's like Backlund uses this to get the chicken wing on Brett while he's distracted, and they're milking this a ton. He is Owen sees Brett in the chicken wing. I couldn't tell you how long he was in this chicken wing, but they did make it worth it. Like they worked it. So Owen goes over and he's like crying to Stu and Helen, like telling them they need to throw the towel in. Um, I have a note. Bulldog's been out for way too long at this point. Like he's just like Owen doesn't even go over and stomp on him or nothing. It's just the one shot and takes him all the way out. So he's lost all credibility. Owen like moves the barricade and gets his parents to ringside, which was so awesome. Like
Yep.
the fact that they did that part instead of just okay, throw the towel kind of thing from just what they're seeing. So like they're getting a closer look. Then like Owen finally convinces Helen to throw the towel, and as soon as she does, Owen takes off running, celebrating, which was awesome. Like it was so good to not even wait, not even like wait to milk it. Just as soon as it happened, all right, I'm out of here. This is
Yeah, he was just say goodbye to his parents.
right. It was so good. Owen was like a star in this. Like this was their chance to rebrand Owen. Like they don't take it that way, but they could have used this to relaunch his push. Um, and Backlund is a champ because of this. And this was at the time very stunning. Like if you were kind of in and out like I was, like I wasn't week to week to week until like early '95. So I was watching it, and I remember like, wait, Bob Backlund's the champion? Like,
Yeah, how? Yeah.
are you kidding me? Like, how did right? So that's a very stunning thing. The crowd is really stunned. Like they're just hushed. Like it's crazy. Um, then they go backstage with Owen, and he admits that it was a setup. Like he cuts this like great promo on Bret. Like Owen just really rocked it here. So I didn't remember him being this good on it. So that was a real highlight too. And Bret, like I don't know, it just sucks because it feels like his star has definitely fallen. It feels like it, like the years always get thrown up in competition of 94, 97 for Bret. Like, oh, what year was better? And I think what happens is a lot of people only watch the pay-per-views. So they see like, oh, Bret's got like 3 or 4 great matches on pay-per-view that year. He had a great year. He was never on TV. Like, he was rarely ever on TV. He had the kid
Yeah, very
match.
little. Yeah.
He had a couple other matches. So like 97 blows 94 out of the water to me. Like it's not even close. 94 is not like this, all-star year to me for
No.
Bret. So it did suck to see him lose the title the way he did, but they got other plans, I guess. So just I guess more shock and awe than anything, followed by a solid match at least.
Yeah, it's one of the weird ones where they go early to the dead spots, like you kind of mentioned with the headlocks, and I think I do think they build up to stuff. Like it takes a little bit to get going on that,
Mm-hmm.
to build up to the thing, but again, it's just kind of a bad placement right after we just saw
Yeah.
the same thing. So I think the crowd's kind of out of it for a while. The Owen stuff, he's great during it the whole time. Like, I have the same match, or same thing with Owen. I don't know how well the crowd can see it. I mean, that's the only problem I would maybe have is like, can the crowd really tell what's happening? But like
Oh
as a
yeah. Good
TV
point.
viewer, you're hooked on it. Like it's great. Like you said, I even think about the Brer kid. That's like a great point. Like, hey, he moves him up. Like, come over here, see how bad he is.
Right.
Too early. I just have just some big notes. I hate Vince in here. He's just too early. Like Bulldog does the flip, and Vince is like, oh, he's knocked out. And it's like, how could you tell that from the other side and absolutely tell that he's knocked out? Like
Right.
he's just telling the story to and then immediately Owen goes like Owen's starting to do it, and Vince is like, oh, look at his parents behind him. It's like, dude, just give it time.
Let it breathe.
Like
Right.
let it breathe, right? So I love that Helen throws in the towel too. Like she just takes it from Stu and throws it in. The crowd, the first 10 minutes was a little flat. That figure 4 lock that you mentioned was great. I thought Backlund there. I'm not the biggest Backlund fan. He did a great job of selling it. And then the flip, which we always joke about, is like the reversal of figure 4 is actually the greatest submission move ever.
Right.
So I actually think that was a good flip there too. I really kind of liked that as well. And yeah, I thought a fun match. It's definitely long. You have to be patient for it. You have to kind of know like, hey, I'm going to sit through something. And it's not one of the Bret matches that really builds to like this. Sometimes he does it like, hey, I'm going to work the leg, and then it leads to like a great finish with the leg. It's more just like, hey, we're going to both try to get some submissions before wear the guy down before then we go for our big move. So
right.
it's a little different Bret match, I feel like, with the kind of setting up guys for the finish, but it's very solid. And then I love the post match interview where Owen, his pronunciation of loser is also very funny. It's very like kid-esque, and it's just funny that he says loser like that. And then we got Rick Martel saying loser.
Yeah.
So 2 classic losers in post-match programs. And then Vince complains that when Backlund wins, that this is the new generation. So he's already kind of setting up like something's going to change. This is a huge upset. I remember that weekend, like watching, must have been Superstars or something, and be like, Backlund won, and then all of a sudden he loses. Spoilers to Diesel already. Like it kills any momentum of it. So like this match kind of means nothing after the fact. Like
that's the worst part.
They need to let it breathe. It's kind of weird that. They don't even mention Diesel at the end, or like he doesn't come out, or like it's just so random of like, why is Diesel in there?
Well, think about it too, right? Bret loses the title at WrestleMania 9, and Hogan comes and gets it right away. So his loss didn't mean anything. Like it didn't mean anything there either.
At least Yoko avenged it real quick, right? Like they pivoted back, but like Backlund's kind of like lost, and then like the Backlund that he won is like forgotten about.
Yep.
So I don't know if Vince he didn't want the heel change, whatever it was, he decided. I did see in the Observer reading about this that Bret ghost filmed some episodes of Lonesome Dove. So if you listen to Vince at the end, he goes, Bret's definitely gonna be out for a while. Which, like, again, Vince, you're not a doctor. How do you know he's going to be out from him just holding his shoulder, right? Like, he's not even. So again, he's annoying me right now. I literally have all caps.
They think wrestling fans are dumb. They think they can't put things together.
Well, again, you can help it out, but let it breathe. Let it get to.
Or just say it on Raw the next time. Brett sustained injuries
to
his whatever.
Right.
Won't be back.
You have to say he's out for a while. Like,
exactly.
And again, like the Bulldog, like, oh, he's knocked out. It's like, how can you possibly tell that? Like, exactly. In the 2 seconds it happens. So. Fun match. Backlund's our new champion, the leader of the new generation, Mr. 44-year-old. So we get to our next Survivor Series match. We got Guts and Glory versus the $1 Million Team. Pretty crazy here. Both are over 1,000 pounds. So when they announce them, they really bring up that both teams are, why IRS is not there. So interesting, IRS is not on the team. So good job there. As much as I hated Vince, he's kind of bringing that up there. Pretty awesome. And the crowd picks. I think the crowd was definitely heel for $1 Million Man and definitely popping for Luger's team.
Yeah.
Crowd definitely pops when Mabel and Bundy get in the ring. They both get in the ring and just kind of belly bump. And then they both leave, tag out. So, like, the crowd pumped for it, and then just nothing happens. Bundy definitely calls him Fat Boy, which is very funny, like very audible to Mabel. Like, what's up, Fat Boy? Which, again, is funny. We get to talk on Luger like 3 or 4 different times in this match. So this is, the reason for this feud. So they do lock up a few times. It's just not heated. The crowd doesn't really care. I don't think just Luger's kind of lost his steam. And Tatanka heel turn, I still think, like, people like him. Like, I don't think he's got that. He hasn't done anything really evil besides just have DiBiase in his corner. So, like, the crowd isn't like. I think the people that like Tatanka are like, oh man, I hate this guy. Early on, we get Mabel to get rid of Tom Pritchard. The Heavenly Bodies just seem like such a bums in this match, especially compared to even the Smoking Guns. Like, they're just kind of thrown away. They're not very credible in the match. The highlight of the match to me is when Bam Bam and Mabel go at it. Mabel actually goes to the top rope, but Bigelow does a body slam of Mabel, which is just an impressive flip feat. Then we get a sunset flip with Mabel and Bam Bam, and Mabel sits on him with all his girth right onto his chest. Like, there's no way that doesn't hurt. And then we kind of get like this. The only thing that sucks is kind of the ending where they both kind of go over the top rope. They say Mabel hits his head. Like, this is Vince again, where it says Mabel hits his head on the steel barricade. They even double feature it, and his feet don't even come close to touching it. So his head definitely did it. And we kind of get a weird count out where Bigelow kind of rolls in first and gets the count out. The ref would normally stop the count out, but this time he doesn't. So Mabel's eliminated. So definitely the highlight of the match is these two guys going. The best I think I've ever seen Mabel look to this date.
Definitely.
And then I thought Bomb looked good against Bam Bam too. But Bam Bam outsmarts him one time and then hits the moonsault. So really, Bam Bam's looking like the star of this match. Like, if you say, like, was it Taka? No, it's Bam Bam. He goes toe to toe with Mabel. He really lets Adam Bomb get some offense on him, and then he hits the awesome moonsault. At that point, Vince can't even do the counting right. He can't figure out that it's 3 versus 2. He's like flustered. He's like, is it 3 versus 2? How many do they have on their team? Like, he literally couldn't figure out how to do it. It's like, it's so annoying. And then they say that they have no updates on Bret. This is where I would like it. Like, they finally say no updates on Bret. Okay, we're trying to get the doctors back there. Like, that's never a good sign. Like, okay, that's fine. Like, you've let it, ferment for a while. That, like, hey, the doctors are with him. Like, that's not a good sign, right? Like, just anytime they say, oh, someone's getting x-rays. Like, okay, not a good sign. Okay, fine. Bring that up. You don't need to bring that up early on. And finally, Luger then pins Tatanka. Well, first he gets a 2 count on Tatanka, and I thought was the finish, but the ref says no. Even Tatanka looked puzzled. So it's really sloppy. Then the ref misses a tag, even though they clearly did it. It wasn't a cheating tag. And then finally, the end comes. Luger pins Tatanka, gets his thing. He lays there on the ground for some reason after the pin, and Bundy just squashes him. And as Bundy says, as Bundy squashed him, Vince says Lux Luger has done the impossible, which is, I guess, pin Tatanka.
Right.
Even though our boy Ludwig Borga did it before. So either way, Luger loses. So Bam Bam and Bundy are the survivors. Tatanka then Bam Bam and Bundy really take Luger out after the match. And then finally, Bomb comes in for the save to kind of help Luger out. Luger looks like a bum. He's kind of had for the whole time. He's been one of the biggest disappointing of the new generation era.
Yep.
Like, I thought I would like him more. I thought he would do more things, but this was just a piss performance. The fact they just laid there after the pinfall, like, I get your gas, but like, it's he doesn't even like celebrate. Like you've taken out your main rival and he's just done for. So,
And they jobbed
yeah,
him out
that's
to
it.
Bundy. Like it wasn't even Bigelow that got to beat him. It was Bundy, who doesn't have the same like cachet right now
Yeah,
as
great.
Bigelow. So it was Luger definitely got jobbed out. Like he got the one little win over Tatanka, I guess. Like that, but Tatanka's not even built up great, so it really didn't do anything for him. So yeah, solid enough match. I think Mabel, and like you said, Mabel and Bigelow really stood out in this one. Mabel looked more energized than usual too, so it was good.
Yeah, yeah, that Bam Bam, Mabel all look good. So
So on to the fattest of them all. So we're on to the main event of the evening now. Um, like I said before, disappointed that this went on last. I get it. Like I get what you're saying. Like I get why it would go on last. I just feel like they could have done something around Owen or getting his comeuppance from Bret or something at the end. I don't know. I guess like you said, if Bret was leaving, they didn't want Bret to do anything like that. So I guess they just had to do this. They kind of painted themselves in a corner. But Chuck Norris comes out first. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I was never really like a Chuck Norris fan. I was into like you have like your action guys, your karate guys. Like I was more
yeah,
like Jean Claude Van Damme and not Steven Seagal, but there was one more. I forget who. Like, there was four. It was Chuck Norris, Jean Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, and somebody else. But yeah, Chuck Norris never did it for me. He always looked like a guy would have like a can of skull in his back pocket or something instead of being like this martial artist. So it always kind of put me off. Um, and then like I have like in my notes, why do they keep putting like this version of the Undertaker in main events? Like the one that works like the zombie slow plotting style. Like, you have all these guys on the roster that like upstage this every single night and like this is what you're putting on last. I just didn't like it. Slow moving start, like, between these two obviously, like the way Taker works and then the condition that Yoko's in right now just wasn't going to get much
yeah.
quicker than that.
And they keep bringing
Um,
up 600 pounds.
right. So I think they had to kind of work like a casket match because at least they can like
Oh, definitely.
use the drama with that to kind of slow everything down when they had to. So you get a couple of teases in the casket and everything's moving in slow motion until like the $1 million corporation starts to come down, and then Chuck Norris kind of fends them off. So he's kind of your de facto enforcer of the match. IRS comes in from the blind side and attacks Taker, which was a good spot. Like I like seeing him get that little bit of shine. I wish this would have been like IRS versus Undertaker instead.
Oh,
Just seeing that moment, at least IRS can move around a little bit more.
yeah, true.
And then he's done a better job at building. Like it's not just the whole fear of caskets kind of thing. So Yoko, like once he attacks him, Yoko goes to close the casket and Taker does like the pop up where he reaches his hand up, but it wasn't as like suspenseful as it usually is. It's a little bit more telegraphed, I guess. Then one of the highlights is when Jarrett finally comes down. He didn't get the memo when everybody else came down, so he just kind of comes down by himself, and Chuck Norris gives him a little sidekick for his troubles and knocks the hell out of him. So that was a good spot, a very memorable spot.
Yes.
Jarrett getting kicked.
Yeah, and they get a lot of press from it, right? So it's
Right.
like, cool.
Yep.
Totally,
And
totally get it.
that's big for him too to be the one to take that shot. So Jarrett's involved in a lot of stuff like that. Like when the country singer when they had the thing with
Yeah.
him in like what 95, 96. So good stuff there. Taker finally puts us out of our misery, locking Yoko in the casket. And believe it or not, they are sending this casket straight to the Fat Farm. So, um, Yoko's going to be, I guess, probably gaining more weight than anything else. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't think it really works.
Right. So, yeah, not the best main event in my opinion. I guess it did what it was supposed to do, but just very slow. And, you have like three slow matches like that. You got the Lawler that was really bad. The Bret and Backlund wasn't like a bad match, but it was slow, like by design. And then you have this, so it was kind of just, set up weird. I guess like the rollout of the card wasn't ideal for me. I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of figure out this this card, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this match, I think it's got the cool entrance, right? The video board opens, take her through the middle of it, something different. You're getting a lot of sorry, I can't think of it now. You get a lot of like spectacle. Like I think this is the beginning of like the Taker awesome entrances, right? You get the long, loud music, like the lights flashing. You kind of get just all of that Taker is now known for. So like I like that. But the in-ring, like Yoko's just too bad. We've already done this. We've complained a little bit about like Yoko being scared. He's already beat him. The Chuck Norris adds something to it. So I think they at least did a good job of that, of like adding some intrigue. He was a big star at the time too, right? Like he's known for being a big star at the time. So it's a good get for them. Maybe Walker Texas Ranger just started or about to start. Like kind of remember this time frame of being there. So like he's definitely a star. So I think that's cool. The Jarrett moment's awesome. Like as far as like you get to see it, it's crazy that you see that actually happening. Jarrett's a trooper there selling it. And then you know, kind of like a memorable little moments in the match. Taker looks dominant, and you know, like the problem is that we're going to see him against Bundy and just all these guys, right? That just can't go. So he needs an opponent to help him out. That really drives him to be an in-ring guy, because right now he's just a spectacle, which is kind of okay at the time. But this match was card was filled with slow plodding matches, and it maybe needed something a little quicker to end on. But the crowd goes home happy. Like I said, I think that's the reason they do this. It's just commonplace. I think they don't like people not going home happy. I think it hurts the next sale. They always try to do right as you're leaving. Don't forget the next event's on sale now. So I kind of get some of that stuff, right? It's just part of the way they get you to build wrestling. Is like if you just always have the bad guy winning, which we see in the NWO, why are we watching? So I get why they kind of go with this piece, but the match is fine enough. It's just the card overall just needed something a little bit more. It's got 3 or 4 memorable moments, which is cool, but kind of is what it is. And you said it right in the way. They have to go casket match here. Like this would have been terrible as a singles match.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine sitting through a regular match with these two.
All right. Anything else that you can think of?
No, I think this is definitely the weakest pay-per-view of '94, in my opinion. I think so too. Like, I think this is like the weakest stretch of TV as well. Like, it's just like it's weird, right? So like we still have a little over a month left in '94, but I don't think anything's gonna like outright save it. But I would have never had '94 as like a bottom 2 or 3 year of the '90s. Just in my head, but it's probably one of the worst years of the '90s.
Yeah, the back half is really
right. I think I never would have thought of like '93 better, but I think I do. I think '93, like Lawler carrying a lot of those shows and Bret on TV more and stuff like that. I think '93 might have actually been a better year than '94.
Yeah, it's the second half where you get a good stuff. We got a good Mania. I actually like Rumble. I think the Rumble. I think the intrigue for Taker versus Taker, like Bret and Owens, great over the summer, and then you kind of get the Anvil thrown in here. You got Backlund, which has been good, but it's been slow. I think some of that stuff, and then just not a lot of other stuff, right? Like even if you thought like, okay, Diesel's about to win the title, like there's no way what we've watched you would expect Diesel. He has not looked that strong. He's never been like a crowd favorite. Like, so it's like, well, they haven't like spent time like, oh man, Diesel's on this run. Like think of 92 Sid where you're like, all right, that was awesome to watch. Like we don't have that. It's just kind of like, so even with Diesel winning the title, coming up on the Saturday after the show, it's kind of out of nowhere. And like, I don't know that's going to lead to anything bigger. And it might be one of the problems we run into 94 is just like Diesel isn't there, or sorry, 95, but I agree. This back half's been very rough.
Well, it just goes to show like all the like confusion and everything with like Vince coming back and moving out probably Jarrett out of the booking committee. Like he got replaced, so like the whole vibe of the promotion got shifted, and you can just tell that Vince was like, why do you have Owen as this main eventer? He's a second. Like he's a mid card guy, and just I don't know. I guess we're gonna see more. Even if it's not as good in '95, you're probably going to see a more structured promotion, I guess.
Yeah, we will definitely see what comes about with this changing the guard with Diesel winning the title. So yeah, hopefully '94 ends a little stronger. I definitely remember being pumped for Rumble. So I know we got a couple of feuds that we haven't talked. Razor fights Jarrett. There's nothing of that so far. The tag team title tournament. So I think there's some stuff that we might Might pick us up a little bit, but we'll see. Ready for awards or anything else you want to bring up on?
I'm good.
All right, most new gen outfits.
I'm gonna have to go with Chuck Norris rocking the Western motif.
There you go. All right, Chuck. Big old Chuck. I go with Mabel. He got a lot of purple and like whatever he wears, like material. It's so weird. Most new gen performer.
I believe that material. If you ever watch Seinfeld, that is velvet. Like
That's
George
velvet.
walking around in velvet. Most new gen performer. So the one that like put on a show that I really didn't see coming, I enjoyed, was Bigelow. So I think I'm gonna have to go with him.
Let's go Bigelow. Bam Bam. That was very good. I thought Mabel was really strong on that. I'm gonna go Owen Hart's for his maybe not at the arena, but he did that storyline.
Oh, that performance was awesome.
Performance and afterwards, just a celebration. You're a loser. It was great. Worst match or segments. I think.
That's easy. Yeah, that's easy. That's Lawler in the joints.
I don't think we've ever had such a layup.
Right.
Best match or segments.
So, if the opener would have had a better finish, I probably would have went that because I did like the action in that. But I think you add in the Owen stuff to the Bret Backlund match. I think I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, we Backlund. I'm gonna go Taker's entrance. I think like coming through the video wall was cool. The lights, just like that, the 6 or 7 minutes of him like entering, turning on the lights. Like I know he's done some of that before, but I felt like this was like the big, long, drawn out entrances we'll be so used to. Right. Anyone stock up?
That's kind of hard to pick a stock. Because I've been so down on him and he kind of showed a little bit more, I guess I'm going to have to go Owen stock up.
Okay.
Coming up a little bit from just being a second. So
I'm going to go steal your new gen performer, Bam Bam, Bigelow. I think Mabel was pretty good as well. I think Razor, guy in the win, was good. Diesel was definitely one where he did pretty dominant, but I'll go Bam Bam. That was the most impressive, like Mabel too. So anyone stock down?
I'll go Luger. Like I picked Yoko last time. It's kind of easy to go Yoko, but Luger he's just like an afterthought now. And I think pretty soon we're gonna see that he really is an afterthought in the eyes of the promotion. So
I'm gonna go Vince McMahon. I thought he was always better commentator, but this was pretty dreadful. He definitely needs the body or the King or Bobby the Brain Heenan with him. It was a rough performance for him. I was just getting frustrated. It is, and I always thought he was a good play man. Like that, I enjoyed him more.
Me too.
Probably because of storytelling, but like he had a rough night.
I think it's the charm that we like with Vince. I think it's the
and the storytelling,
the what a maneuver
right?
and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like, you like it, but when you break it down, it's not as good.
And the storytelling he can be good at. I feel like he had a rough night. He was just like trying to He always trying to oversell something, but it was just annoying. I thought, and I think when like King's there to like call him stupid, it works better, right? Or Bobby would call him stupid, right? And when Gorilla's just kind of playing off him as you're right, Vince. I think that they don't mesh as well. So we're on to that's Survivor Series 94. We got Raw and Superstars and Action Zone from the weekend. Crazy Madison Square Garden show happens on the Saturday night of that taping, so we will have a lot of information of what happens there. I know I spoiled it already, but this is 30 years ago, so we'll talk about that. So we'll try to get in all that stuff next time in 2 weeks. Kind of lead up to 1995, like you mentioned. I think we'll get some debuts, and I think, like I said, you think this is kind of Backlund's going to lead the generation, that quickly, in 3 days, pivots to something totally different. Right. So we'll see how it goes from that. So we'll see everyone in 2 weeks. So thanks for listening, rating, reviewing, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yes, sir.